This is the second video in a series on the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Greene's book offers insightful demonstrations of the different dimensions of obtaining and using power. The book often gets a bad reputation by those that hate power players, that use their position of power for their own benefit against the benefits of others. Power is a burden to those who wield it. However, the feeling of being powerless is equally unbearable. While it is true that tyrannical leaders can use these laws for malicious and devastating ends, it is also possible to use these powers for benevolent goals. It is important to remember that power is fluid as the tide in the breeze. It flows from one person to another, as it is the currency of our social order. We all engage in power dynamics, whether it is personal or professional. And if we desire to play the game of power, then we should be well versed in its rules, its applications, and limitations. Throughout this series, I will describe each law of power and provide examples from popular film and television shows. Some depictions will have historical relevance, although dramatized, but like all storytelling, they are mere reflections of the real world. These examples are not meant to be taken 100% factually accurate, but to be used as examples so you may learn to use the laws of power for your own goals. Law 2. Don't trust your friends. Instead, learn to use your enemies. Be wary of friends. They will betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. They also become spoiled and tyrannical. But hire a former enemy, and he will be more loyal than a friend because he has more to prove. In fact, you have more to fear from your friends than from enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. Robert Greene. Transgression of the law. The general rule is never to hire a friend. You should never mingle personal and professional relationships, because the likely conclusion will be the loss of both an employee and a friend. However, early on in your journey, it may be necessary to hire a friend, particularly when starting out, such as in the 2010 Aaron Sorkin film The Social Network, based on The Accidental Billionaires, a book by Ben Mesrich, a dramatized account of the founding of the social networking platform Facebook. In the film, Mark Zuckerberg, played by Jesse Eisenberg, persuades his friend and Harvard classmate Eduardo Saverin, played by Andrew Garfield, to be his chief financial officer in his social media startup. At first, the pairing is out of necessity and convenience.
People want to go on the internet and check out their friends, so why not build a website that offers that? Friends, pictures, profiles, whatever you can visit, browse around. Maybe it's someone you just met at a party, but you would have to know the people on the site to get past your own page.
Well, that's good.
We're gonna need a little startup cash to rent the servers and get it online. We'll split it, 70-30. 70 for me, 30 for you for putting up the $1,000 at your CFO.
As well as the fact that they both know each other and trust each other, since there is no guarantee that the venture will be successful or profitable. Friends will often assist you out of obligation rather than compensation.
Hey Mark, I need a dedicated Linux box running Apache with a MySQL backend. It's going to cost a little more money.
How much more?
About 200 more.
Do we need it?
Gotta handle the traffic.
Do it.
You already did.
Which is convenient at the start of a venture. However, over time, it will become harder to manage and order your friend around, such is the case when Mark and Eduardo do not see eye to eye on the best way to monetize and manage Facebook.
To monetize the site. It means it's time for the website to start generating revenue.
No, I know what the word means. I'm asking how do you want to do it?
Advertising.
No. Because the Facebook is cool, and if we start installing pop-ups for Mountain
Well, I
Dew, it's
wasn't
not going to be
thinking
cool.
Mountain Dew, but at some point, and I'm talking as the business end of the company, the site.
We don't even know what it is yet. We don't know what it is.
Their relationship changes as the business becomes more successful. Mark no longer needs a friend in such an important role in the company, as he can now attract more professional workers with offers of high salaries that will do as they are directed without argument. As Mark begins to push his friend out of the company that he helped create, Eduardo becomes agitated, believing that he deserves credit for the success of the company as much as Mark does.
You issued 24 million new shares of stock.
You were told that if new investors
How
came
much
along...
were your shares diluted? How much were his?
You're gonna blame me because you were the business head of the company and you made a bad business deal with your own company?
It's gonna be like I'm not a part of Facebook.
It won't be like you're not a part of Facebook. You're not a part of Facebook.
My name's on the masthead as a co-founder of Facebook, which I am. You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything.
Eduardo makes good on his promise to sue Mark, and both men drag out each other's dirty laundry throughout the proceedings.
Legitimate grounds for termination.
No.
You never did anything to embarrass the company or even seriously jeopardize it?
No.
No?
Mr. Zuckerberg was cheating on his final exam?
I'd rather not answer that, Gretchen.
And why not?
Because I'm not suing him for cheating on his final exam. That's not what friends do.
Well, you just told us he was cheating.
Oops. You told your lawyers I was torturing him.
Friends know more about you than your business partners should, and that is why it is best to keep your friends from becoming your enemies.
I was your only friend. Yet one friend.
Perhaps the best way to turn a friend into an enemy is to go into business with them, such as in the case of the fictional television series Succession. The series follows the wealthy and dysfunctional Roy family. Logan Roy, the patriarch and CEO of Waystar Royco, played by Brian Cox, experiences declining health throughout the series, and the family are all jockeying to be his successor to the head of the company. No more so than his eldest son, Kendall Roy. While his father is in a coma following a stroke, Kendall learns of a $3 billion loan that will trigger immediate payment in full if the company's stock falls below a certain threshold.
So, I guess, what I'd like to know is what your position will be if we have a sustained breach of the stock price and we fall out of compliance with our debt covenant.
Okay, well, if the stock drops, we're entitled to ask for a payment in full.
Uh-huh, exactly. Technically, yeah. So, what will we do here in reality?
If it breaches 130, you've broken the covenant and we will want repayment.
Right.
With his father out of commission, the stock begins to slip as the future of the company is now uncertain. Kendall, out of desperation and need for discretion, enlists the help of his former college drinking buddy, Stewie Holson.
When I took over, found out Dad took out a huge loan a decade ago, secret, through the holding company.
Are you serious?
Secured against the family stake in the public firm.
To invest in the company in exchange for a board seat and voting stake in the company.
To sell it, I'm gonna need voting stock.
As long as the family maintain control.
Well, effective control. I'm also gonna need a board seat.
Later in the series, Stewie will try to leverage this acquirement into a complete takeover of the company itself.
He get at you.
I just reassessed.
There's a friend card here if you want to play it. You know that, right? There's a human thing standing in front of you. We had the whole world in our hands and you fucking walked, man.
My dad's plan is better.
With each attempt, Stewie becomes more and more ungrateful to his former friend, and more powerful too, as he acquires more stakes in the company with each maneuver.
Negotiation that's a one-bang final deal offer and is generous. So don't insult me with a counter. 3 board seats, including Ken. You get a codified say in the appointment of our next CEO. We remove our poison pill, conduct a strategic review on terms co-set with you, dismiss all our litigation on the proxy battle, spin-off cruises, okay?
No, I don't think that works.
Powerful people often attract attention and admiration. Beware of those that idolize you, because there is only one you. In the 2007 film The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, famed outlaw Jesse James, played by Brad Pitt, hires and befriends an upstart outlaw, Robert Ford, played by Casey Affleck.
I can't believe I woke up this morning wondering if my daddy would loan me his overcoat. And here it is just past midnight. I've already robbed a railroad train. I'm sitting in a rocking chair chatting with none other than Jesse James.
Yeah, it's a wonderful world.
Ford looks up to James, even though the real man does not live up to his mythical expectations.
Bro, you know what I got right next to my bed? Is The Train Robbers, or A Story of the James Boys by R.W. Stevens. I mean, many's the night I stayed up reading about your escapades in the Wide Awake Library.
They're all lies, you know.
Ford begins to see that the notoriety and fame is what makes Jesse so exceptional, for he is just a mere man.
I can't figure it out. Do you want to be like me? Or you want to be me?
Ford makes the calculation that if he himself kills James, he will gain fame and notoriety too, as the man who killed the most dangerous outlaw in the West.
They gave me 10 days.
For what?
For arresting him.
You and me, huh?
It's gonna happen one way or another, Charlie. It's gonna happen. So it might as well be us who get rich on it.
Bob, he's our friend.
I mean, it seems to me Jesse's riding from man to man, saying goodbye to the gang. So your friendship could put you under the pansies.
You think it's all made up, don't you? You think it's all yarns and newspaper stories.
He's just a human being.
After the assassination, Ford becomes overly burdened with the fame and power that comes with it. Constantly looking over his own shoulder now, and being wary of those who may envy him. A tactful enemy will always come to you disguised as a friend, a peer, an ally, and a student of your brilliance.
When I introduce you, I'm gonna say, this is a friend of mine. That means you're a connected guy. Now, if I said instead, this is a friend of ours, that would mean you were a made guy.
This occurs in the 1997 film Donnie Brasco, where Johnny Depp plays an undercover cop who befriends Lefty, a mid-level hitman played by Al Pacino.
I got it. I got my hooks in the guy.
In order to gain evidence to bring down the organized crime family, Depp, as the undercover agent, plays up his friendship with Lefty in order to gain his trust.
You can spot me a couple. Listen.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's something. I'll get back there. You see. Now you got it here. There you go.
Lefty, being on the outs with most of the other criminals in his organization, takes in his newfound accomplice.
Who cares, Sonny Black? What are you worried about then?
Donnie, you know, sometimes I think in that orphanage they dropped you on your fucking head.
How am I supposed to know? You don't explain it to me.
You think I don't know how a hit gets set up?
And begins teaching him and relying on him for his own survival.
I'm saying you and Sonny Black are friends,
Donnie,
so, you know.
I got sent for. In our thing, you get sent for, you go in alive, you come out dead, and it's your best friend that does it.
In return, Donnie even begins to truly care for his friend Lefty as a person. This, of course, is natural, as humans are social creatures. We naturally rely on our social order to survive. But make no mistake, the allure of power is part of social structures as well. And in the game of power, friendships are only maintained until they are no longer convenient.
I never had any money, but if ever I had $100 in my pocket, I gave you 50, right?
Yeah, you did.
If you're a rat,
remember that friendships are a way into your social order, but to others they can also be a way up. Observance of the law. In a scene from the 2012 Steven Spielberg film Lincoln, President Abraham Lincoln, depicted by Daniel Day-Lewis, gives orders to the leader of the U.S. Army, General Grant, played by Jared Harris.
I've never seen the like of it before, what I've seen today.
You always knew that, what this was going to be. Intimate and ugly. You must have needed to see it close when you decided to come down here.
This is near the end of the bloodiest conflict ever waged on American soil, and despite his orders to continue to press the attack,
Once he surrenders, send his boys back to their homes, their farms, their shops.
Yes, sir. As we discussed.
And the leaders, Jeff and the rest of them, if they escape, leave the country while my back's turned, that wouldn't upset me none.
He also gives orders to allow Confederate leaders to escape capture or be allowed to return to civilian life without fear of retribution or court-martial.
When peace comes, it mustn't just be hangings.
Lincoln's calculation here is that if the Confederate leaders thought that their deaths were now certain as the outcome of the war is, then they would have no logical reason to surrender unless cornered, which would lead to the conflict drawing out longer. He also did this knowing that he would need leadership in the former rebellious states to begin his plan for Reconstruction.
We've won the war. Now, you have to lead us out of it.
In a speech that Abraham Lincoln delivered at the height of the Civil War, he referred to the Southerners as fellow human beings who were in error. An elderly lady chastised him for not calling them irreconcilable enemies who must be destroyed. "Why, madam," Lincoln replied, "do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends?" In the 2002 Steven Spielberg film Catch Me If You Can, loosely based on the overly exaggerated autobiography of Frank Abagnale, Leonardo DiCaprio plays Frank Abagnale, a con artist and fraudster, as he travels around the world committing various crimes, such as check and wire fraud. Throughout the film, Abagnale is chased by a no-nonsense FBI agent, Carl Hanratty, played by Tom Hanks.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to have to tell you your son is forging checks.
Forging checks? Wether, I'm sure we can take care of that. I'm working part-time at the church now. Just tell me how much you owe and I'll pay you back.
So far, it's about $1.3 million.
After he is caught and finally locked up,
I'm on my way to the airport. It's a paper hanger who's working his way through Minnesota.
You got any of the checks?
Yeah, I got a... He's just using a stencil machine and an Underwood.
Yeah, it's a teller at the bank.
Say again?
It's definitely a teller, Carl.
Hannery brings him into the fold.
I'd like you to take a look at something. Tell me what you think.
It's a fake.
How do you know you haven't looked at it?
Well, there's no perforated edge, right? This check was hand cut, not fed.
Using him as a forensic consultant to assist him in catching other criminals in crimes Abagnale has experience with.
Frank, would you be interested in working with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit?
The reversal. Friends are not completely useless in business relationships. Friends and family will often do work for you out of obligation, as mentioned previously. This is particularly useful when it comes to dirty work.
We just need someone to shred and to sign out the materials from the document depository, and that's a name that could draw some heat were things to go bad.
Could you?
You cannot trust this work to hourly employees or to mercenaries who will sell you out for a higher paycheck.
What do you want me to do? Listen to me. All you have to do is go into the office, sign out some boxes, do a little bit of shredding, meet some lovely guys.
Is this the thing?
Greg? Yeah.
Friends and family, if treated right, will take bullets for you, as in the case in the third season of Succession, when Waystar Royco has been rocked by scandals.
Which we're interested in, that were not available to us. They were signed out by a Gregory Hirsch. Is that someone known to you, Mr. Wamsgans?
No, sorry.
No?
No, Tom?
It is determined that someone has to step down in shame and take the blame for the poor management of the company. In any ideal and virtuous world, this would be Logan Roy himself. However, Logan Roy has long been corrupted by power and will do whatever is necessary to maintain his seat at the head of the company.
I need one meaningful skull to wave. So, anyone like to say anything? Take care of whoever it is. No one will be forgotten.
I only say, without malice aforethought, presumably General Counsel
is center of the...
We take out a senior woman. Haven't we, kidding here, killed enough women already? I mean, I think the obvious is... Tom.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I fucking love you, dude, but you shot the bed over Mo Lester.
And I was sent in there as the beatings.
No, Tom looks logical.
What?
Cruises, document destruction.
What?
I'm saying you're like family, which is good, but also not.
That is why Logan keeps so many of his friends and family in high positions around him.
Get back into what?
Vice President. Digital, global. Based out of Dubai, India, China, wherever.
Excuse me, are you fucking serious?
Meeting over. Fuck off.
Although he only allows them superficial access to power and decision-making. The real reason he keeps them around is to do his dirty work. And when caught, their job is to take the blame, leaving him untouched, untarnished.
Mr. Logan Roy, what did you personally know about the operation of a system of obfuscation of wrongdoing in your cruise division?
At that point, I believe my son was across that operation.
At which point?
And that is exactly how he plans to escape the recently surfaced scandals, by sacrificing one of those closest to him to appease the masses and maintain his power over his friends, his family, and his company.
I should have shouted at some guy, but I didn't, so you've just ripped up 18 months of corporate strategy?
And you never lawyered the trust change.
I trusted my father. That's a black mark?
It's an accumulation.
This has been a production of Minimum Effort Media. There are new video essays here on the first Friday of every month. For each video discussing the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, I will be giving away a copy of the book. All you need to do is enter, be a subscriber with notifications turned on, leave a comment and a like on this video, and I will announce the winner of this giveaway on my next video. The winner from my previous video is on screen now. Please message me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram @TheLacyStoic so I can get your contact information. Thank you for watching.